folks, and welcome to Homesteader News. Hey, I got an interesting project that I'd like to share with you. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be installing a small wood burning stove into my cabin. Now, I didn't put wood burning stove into this cabin when I first built it. I've been using propane because when I put in the cabin, propane was still pretty cheap, $1.35 a gallon. Propane's went up to about $2.50 a gallon now, gotten pretty expensive. Plus, I decided that I wanted to make my cabin a little more sustainable so that if I can't get propane, I can still cook, I can still heat my cabin, and I can still take care of my basic needs that I need heat for. So a small wood stove is the plan. Now, this small wood stove that I'm going to show you is just one possibility. There's lots of different varieties of wood stoves out there. I would suggest that you check around for different models. Look for one that will fit your needs. Look at how many BTUs it puts out, whether it requires a blower, because if you're running off of solar power and you're trying to run a blower to push the heat around, it's not going to be very effective. I wanted one that didn't have a blower. I wanted one that was small because the cabin's small. I don't want a great big wood heater. And I wanted one that put out a lot of heat but was big enough that would hold a load clear through the whole night. So I'm going to show you the stove that I chose, and I'm also going to show you how that you can buy the parts to build your own wood stove out of a barrel if you want. And I've built these before, and I'll show you the barrel, and I'll show you the parts, and I'll tell you where to get them. So come on along, let's build a wood burning stove, and I'll show you the wood burning stove that I'm going to put in my cabin. Okay folks, I'm going to show you this small wood stove that I'm going to be putting in my cabin. This is a Camp Chef model. It's an 18-inch, what they call a barrel stove or a tube stove, and what it is it's a rolled piece of steel, 1/8-inch steel, with a flat cooktop. And they designed these specifically for people that go up long-term camping in tents. And everything that's on this stove, it comes with everything complete, ready to go. And I'll show you that it has the stovepipe, the grate, 2 racks that go on both sides, and the legs are detachable, and everything is designed to fit right inside the stove. And these are used because packers that'll take these up in the mountains will hook these onto a horse or onto an ATV, and that way they can take their wood stoves up with them so that they can cook and also keep their tents warm. That's what they're designed for. I'm going to be using mine in my little cabin, and I just wanted a small stove because what I want to do is be able to offset some of my propane use. I use propane to heat my cabin in the wintertime, but that's gotten kind of expensive. So by using one of these small stoves, I should be able to cut my propane use down to about half. And in the event that I couldn't get propane, I can still use this to warm my cabin in the winter and to cook on, because it has a nice flat cooking top. These take a 5-inch flue chimney, and that's all included. It's 10 feet long. You may have to get a collar if you're going to be, and elbows if you're going to be running it out of a cabin, but if you're going to be doing it in a tent, you're going to use a straight pipe. And these will hold a pretty good load of wood. They're 18 inches by about 2 feet long, and that amount of wood, if you close the damper down, will last you about 6 hours, so you won't have to get up 3 or 4 times a night to reload a stove. These run about $200. There's a couple of different brands and varieties. This is the Camp Chef model, and I will put a link down there for anybody that's interested in getting one of these. Now, these come pretty well featured. They have the collar hole that you just slide the flue into, and the flue has a damper included with it. You always want a damper on your pipe. That way you can shut it down or close down and keep the heat in the house instead of going out the chimney, and also that prevents fires going up the chimney and things like that. This comes with that. It also comes with a nice hinge door, and as you can see, it's got a little latch and clasp here, and it's a solid model with a grate. It's a little bit more difficult to get the ashes out of this because there's no automatic ash dump on them. You'll have to dig the ashes out, but with the grate you won't have to do that very often. It comes with a nice latch on it. It comes with the controlled vent, and that adjusts the amount of air that's going into your fire. When you want it hot for cooking, then you'll open it up and you'll let the oxygen in there and the fire will get hotter. When you want it at nighttime, when you just want it to stay warm and keep the place warm, then you close it down until it's just open just barely, and that'll reduce how fast the fire burns, and that'll make your wood last a lot longer. It comes with 2 racks that, and the mounting brackets are on the sides of this. You can also get a water tank that attaches directly to these. That's another $80. If you want to heat up a lot of water, then I would get one of the water tanks that attaches to it. I already have a system for hot water in my house. If I need to heat up water in an emergency, I can heat it right on top of the stove. I don't need the extra tank, so I didn't get the tank. It does come with the racks. The tank is usually sold separately. And that's the unit that I'm going to be using. The legs are detached. I'll be putting it on some good fireboard, and I'll have to be putting some fire break board around my walls in order to prevent any flames, sparks, and anything from shooting out of it. But a stove that size should be able to keep my cabin warm most of the night. And then with the propane system, if the fire goes out in the fireplace, my propane system will kick on automatically and keep my cabin warm, so I don't have to get up and reload the stove if I don't want to. Now I'm also going to be showing you how to build your own stove, which I've done before in the past, out of a barrel. And that is an old barrel stove, and I'm going to show you how we turn a barrel into a barrel stove and what parts we're going to use, and I'll put that in the next video. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this stove up, and because they don't they just paint them but they don't fire them to fire the paint, I'm going to fire this up outside, and that'll fire that paint so it doesn't smoke and stink up my house the first time I light it up. So I'm going to put the chimney on this. I'm going to get it all set up so you can see what it looks like with the racks and everything on it. Then I'm going to start a fire and I'm going to cook me some breakfast, and you can see how these little stoves work. Okay folks, I've got this wood stove set up outside so that I can cure the paint on it. I let it burn for quite a while before I put my food on it so there wouldn't be any fumes coming off the stove affecting my food. And you can see it comes with two racks, which are real handy for warming food, but also if you use this and you got wet socks or wet gloves after coming in from outside, you can put those right on those racks. You can warm up some bread, some biscuits on those racks. That's real nice. The cook surface is really flat, really nice. You can see my cast iron skittle is sitting there, and I've got me a ham steak and a couple of eggs cooking for breakfast. And it only took about 10-15 minutes for it to warm up enough to start cooking. Cooks real quick, and this is outside, so it comes with 10 feet length of pipe, and each pipe is about 2 feet long. And I've just got a couple of sections put up because I've got this put up outside. And it comes with a damper, and this is real important that you get this damper put in correctly. You have to take it apart, slide the damper in, and then slide the handle back in. It's pretty simple, self-explanatory. How a damper works is it controls the amount of heat that's going up the chimney. Now when you first start a fire, you usually open this all the way up, and that will allow the stove to draft. And what it does is it sucks in the oxygen down here at these openings on the front, okay, and the air goes in underneath the fire, and then it goes out through the chimney. And if you don't have a good draft, then you won't have a good fire. It'll take forever, and your fire will smoke and smolder and won't do anything. So you'll open up your damper all the way open when you first start, and you'll open up your vents in the front all the way open. And then as it gets heated up, it'll start drafting that air through there, and that fire will start getting real hot. Now once the fire gets hot, then you don't want all that heat to go out your chimney. That's a waste of heat if you're trying to heat a place. So then you'll close down the damper. And you might not close it all the way. You'll have to kind of fiddle because every house is a little different. Depends on the air circulation in the house. But you'll mess with that damper and just kind of close it down slowly until you get the right amount of heat coming out of the stove and the right temperature if you're cooking. Now if I'm cooking, I open the damper up and get it really hot, and then I shut the damper down. That way it keeps the heat in the stove. That way it cooks everything up pretty fast. If I'm just heating up the cabin, then I'll close down the damper, and I'll just close down those front vents after I get the fire started good, and that way it'll just produce heat over a smaller amount of heat, but over a lot longer period of time. That way your wood will last a lot longer, so you don't have to refill your wood. So for 200 bucks, that's the Camp Chef model. There's some other models out there that are just as good or even better. It comes with the pipe, it comes with the racks, it comes with the legs, it comes with the damper, it comes with a grate that goes inside. And I'll show you what the fire looks like inside. As you can see, maybe. Okay, I've got 2 big pieces of wood in there, and then I put some kindling and just some little paper to get started. It comes with, you can see it's got a grate underneath it. So the ashes will fall down underneath the wood. That way you don't have to clean it as often. But you'll still have to get you a scoop shovel and a bucket. And then you can get those anywhere. And then you pull that out. Pull those ashes out. Don't let them get built up too much. but a good ash layer underneath it actually protects the metal. So you always want to leave some ashes underneath the grate. You just want to take them off the top of the grate, leave the ashes underneath the grate when you're using the stove. Okay, and then it'll hold about three pieces of wood, about 8 inches, with some kindling. And with the damper closed, that'll last quite a while. So that's the small stove. And in my next video, I'll show you how to put together, if you want to build your own out of a barrel. I'm going to show you how to build one out of a 35-gallon or a 55-gallon barrel, and what parts you need to get for that. So stay tuned and watch my next video, please.